we have a special preview of the royal wedding cake tonight on Entertainment Tonight. Do-do-do-do-do-do. And hello, welcome to another edition of Mondays in Midtown. I'm Mark Zinn, coming to you from our newest studio angle, the set of Entertainment Tonight, and it's a good studio angle. On this week's program, we have a lot for you. We have part 2 of our 3-part series, our exclusive sit-down with St. Louis Mayor Francis Slay, and on this week's show, he talks about local control of the St. Louis Police Department. It's a pretty heated topic, and I think you'll enjoy the interview. We'll also have a look at the Masters. Gotta love that tournament, the Masters Golf Tournament. Dr. Z. Schaefer, some commentary, politics, and a whole lot of fun will also be on this show. So you want to stick around for this week's show, indeed. But in terms of the most important aspect of our show, it's looking at local and state government. So here in Mark's Moment, I want to focus on why you, as a constituent of St. Louis and Missouri, so why you as a constituent should be involved and engaged in your government. You pay taxes here at the local and state level, and you get a lot of services. Believe it or not, you get a lot of services from the local government that is around you here at St. Louis University. For example, call 911 right now. Go ahead and call it. Don't call it. Don't call 911 right now. But if you called 911, St. Louis City Police Department would answer your phone. Not the Department of Public Safety. St. Louis City Police would answer their phone, no matter if you're on campus, if you're not on campus. So just keep that in mind, because that's local government right there, right? So when you do call 911 and they show up, whether it's a medic unit or a police unit, those are all local government at your service. The streets you're driving on around campus, including the Grand Bridge project, that's local government right there. Let's see, there's also issues of water and sewer services and trash collection, local government. Who would have known? Wouldn't have thought that. Guess who's clearing off the roads when it snows and it ices and it sleets sometimes, when it sleets? That's also your government. So please get involved in your government. Write your congressman, I'm sorry, not your congressman, write your state representative, write your state senator, write your alderman a letter, because it's important and you have a voice and you can impact your local government. Okay, so moving on from Mark's Moment into the election. There was an election this past Tuesday, as you know, and we have those results here for you. So let's first get to the most heated race. That's Proposition E. I put the graphic up there now. Proposition E overwhelmingly was passed here in St. Louis City. You can see 87.55%. So we'll go ahead and give it 88% of the vote. Almost a 9-to-1 margin that proposition passed, which will now allow for the city to continue to charge a 1% earnings tax on the wages of those who live and or work here in the city of St. Louis. So that did pass by a large ratio there. Another race we were looking at was the aldermanic president race. Now that one was not as contested, or at least as talked about as Prop E, but Lewis Reed, the incumbent president of the Board of Aldermen here in St. Louis City, won his re-election bid, as you can see, 82% over Maxine Johnson. She was from the Green Party. The third race we looked at here was that St. Louis Community College trustee District 2 race, and we have those results for you. Haiti Jackson, whoa, look at that, 66% of the votes out of a 4-way race. That's pretty impressive. She did a great job campaigning in terms of yard signs and getting out her message, because not much is known about the St. Louis Community College trustee race, but the Board of Trustees governs the St. Louis Community College, so that was an important race, and she did win that. Now the fourth race, which we really didn't talk about, but I think it's now worth talking about because the election results came out. Longtime Alderman Fred Heidert. He's been an alderman in South St. Louis, Ward 12, since the 70s. And here's the kicker, though. He was the only Republican on the 28-member Board of Aldermen. So out of 28 people, there's only one Republican, and he just got voted out by a margin of 48 votes. Put those numbers up. Larry Arnowitz, he was his challenger, a Democratic challenger, and beat him by 48 votes. Pretty small margin. And Fred Heidert will no longer be the alderman of Ward 12. You got to think what happened there. Maybe it was time for him to go. I talked to one of the constituents in that ward, and he said that they liked Fred, but he served for he's been serving for too long. It's time to get some fresh blood in there. So maybe that was it. But either way, that was pretty shocking out of the 12th ward. So those are the election results that we followed here on Mondays in Midtown in terms of the city of St. Louis. You can get all the latest information about any of these races, including races out in St. Louis County or on the other side of the river at stltoday.com, the Post-Dispatch's website. It's important. And think about that. If 48 people showed up, I'm sorry, 49 people showed up to vote for in support of Hydert, he would have got reelected. So it just goes to show you how small these margin victories are for municipal elections. But either way, it's now time for mayoral politics. Here is part 2 of our 3-part series with Mayor Francis Slay, the mayor of St. Louis, in our exclusive interview. This week, again, we look at local control of the St. Louis City Police Department. St. Louis and Kansas City are the only 2 police departments that are controlled by the governor of the state, which is Missouri, which is weird. It's been like that since the Civil War, though. But even though the Civil War era politics might have changed, politics has not changed in the St. Louis City Police Department. Here's our interview from last week with Mayor Slay. You were just in Jeff City, switching topics again. You were just in Jeff City yesterday to testify on behalf of local control. How did your testifying go, and what do you think the likelihood of the city's police department it being returned to the city of St. Louis?
Well, to answer your second question first, it's inevitable. The St. Louis City Police Department will be returned to the people of St. Louis. It's a question of when. We've been pushing this for several years up in Jeff City, and we're making more and more progress. This year we've gotten a lot farther than anybody thought we would, much farther than we have in the past, and we're making a lot of progress. But whether or not it gets done this year will depend upon whether or not we can defeat any attempt, if there is one, at a successful filibuster, whether we can defeat a filibuster. Now, having said all that, I think the testimony was pretty much the same people have heard in the past. We're not asking for anything different, unusual, strange. We're just asking for what virtually every other city and county in the whole United States has, and that's its own police department. In fact, we would basically run the department very similar to the way the fire departments run, and be under the civil service, and it's already set up under our charter. So it wouldn't be anything different or strange or anything. We don't know what we're doing. And so I think that message is resonating more in terms of what we're talking about up in Jeff City, obviously. But you know, they've got a lot of things on their plate. They've got redistricting and the budget, 2 major things. So it's going to depend somewhat on how much time we have for debate on.
They have a bigger budget deficit in the city, don't they?
Yeah, yeah, they do. They're going to have a huge challenge up there, and so priorities also. So I can't tell you whether it's going to get done this year. Certainly hoping it does. I can tell you if it doesn't get done this year, it'll get done ultimately soon.
And your argument, I mean, it's a fair argument. A city, like any municipality in the country, controls its own police department. You bring that argument to any St. Louis City police officer, and I'm sure you've talked to them. It seems to me, and it seems to, again, every police officer I've talked to it seems to be unified in this argument, that they worry about a few things if the city takes over control of the police department. The biggest concern, at least one of them, is the politics. They think politics will be, I guess, outrageous, and that, as I've heard police officers call it, outrageous, and that aldermen will start, telling them how to do their job, and stuff will come straight from the mayor's office to the police chief, and it could affect how they do their job. Do you see that as an issue if the city retakes it?
I think it'll improve the department. First of all, talk about politics. They're suggesting. First of all, I think the big issue with the police officers is that this is the fear of the unknown, and so they're speculating on what's going to happen. If this is such a bad structure, why does every city and county in the state of Missouri, other than Kansas City, have its own police department? And every other city and county in the United States of America, basically, has a department, and certainly one not controlled by the state. So those fears are, if there's a problem, if there's some kind of interference, we deal with it. If there's politics, we're going to deal with it. This is all about accountability, and right now there isn't any. If something goes wrong in this department, if there's some waste and mismanagement and fraud in the department, there's nobody in Jeff City that'll take care of it. Nobody in Jeff City that'll answer the phone call. There's nobody to call, nobody to talk to, and nobody who cares about what happens in our department. The people of St. Louis do care. And who do they call if they have a problem? They call the mayor, they call the aldermen, elected officials. We want a strong department. If somebody is suggesting that the people of St. Louis are inferior to the people of University City or Farmington or St. Louis County in some way, or Joplin or some other city all over Missouri, and that we are not able to run our own department, they're wrong. People of St. Louis are not inferior. We're capable of doing it as much as anybody else. Is it a perfect system? Absolutely not. It isn't anywhere. And if there's politics involved, I'll tell you what, there's politics involved right now. Since I've been on, we've had two members of the police board resign under allegations of improper conduct. And these are ones, but here, these particular members, and I've been on the board 10 years now, the members of the board do not report to the people of St. Louis. And they control $164 million out of a $450 million general operating budget. That's almost 35% of our budget, and that's controlled by 4 people who don't report to the people of St. Louis. And most of the people of St. Louis don't even know who the police board members are. That's what's wrong. The reason why every other police and sheriff department all over the city, if somebody's suggesting there's no politics in any other town or city in the state of Missouri, well, they're fooling themselves as well. When people are involved, there's always politics. But it's our duty as citizens and elected officials to deal with it and make sure it does not interfere with them doing their jobs. And
So
we will.
that was one of the issues.
Yeah.
Sure. That was one of the issues with the politics. But another issue of concern would be they feel, the officers have expressed that they feel you guys might tamper with their pension. And you talk to an alderman, they say you can't do that because it's a state law. Well, why do they keep on bringing up that argument then?
Good question. The violation of federal and state law. And there's a provision in the bill that would preclude anybody from touching the pensions. So that's a non-issue, and yes, you're right, they just keep bringing it up. Here's what I learned when I practiced law. When you have the law on your side, you pound the law. When you have the facts on your side, you pound the facts. When you don't have either, you pound the table. There's a lot of table pounding going on.
I mean, why would all these police officers be against you and the city taking over control? I mean, you'd think that at least half of them would be like, oh, that's not a bad idea. It seems logical that the city would take control. I mean,
I think it's fear of the unknown, as I said earlier. I mean, they don't know. They know what it's like now, and I think the department overall is kind of insular. It's kind of like, this is our department. We don't want anybody messing with it. But for God's sakes, it isn't their department. It's the people's department, and they ought to be accountable to the people. And I've got some pretty good, horror stories, I guess, about some of the things go on.
We'll save that for the after hours.
Yeah. I'll tell you some stories, but it's amazing what goes on. And it's not because the police board members are bad people. It's the fact that they look at themselves generally, and this is my experience in 10 years generally, as advocates for the department, which is fine, but not as representatives of the people. And I think that's the flaw in this system. We can also save a lot of money. We think we can save $4 to $7 million if the city had its police department. They have all their own departments. They have their own budget and planning. They have their own, they have their own PR and press secretaries. They have more than we have. They have their own personnel and human resources and IT and all those things that we can merge, save a lot of money. Get rid of the police board itself. That'll save us close to $250,000. So it's a matter of efficiency, and it's a matter of accountability. It's a matter of fairness. And again, we just want what everybody else has, and we can handle it. The people of St. Louis can handle it.
We'll definitely be watching where the issue of local control goes. Just real quickly, I think I asked you this last time.
Yeah.
You going to run for a 4th term?
It's certainly something I'm seriously considering.
You'd be the only 4th term here, wouldn't you?
Well, if I'm successful, that would be the case. Yeah.
And that again was our exclusive sit down with Mayor Francis Slay, the mayor of St. Louis. You'll be able to see part 3 of our 3-part series on the interview next week, and that's when Mayor Slay will talk about the census returns, the census data from 2010. Pretty interesting, because his office kept on saying, hey, we're going to gain people. We're going to gain people this year. We're going to gain people this year. Census data comes out, we lost 3 times the amount of people we thought we were going to gain. That's next week, so pretty interesting. And the local control issue, I don't think it's going anywhere. We'll have some updates for you next week or the week after, because it's been debated a lot in the State House and the State Senate. So we'll look at that in the upcoming episodes of Mondays in Midtown as well. Next, though, service is very important to a Jesuit education, the idea of service. And as Amanda Honigfort shows us in our newest segment, Lending a Hand, the APO organization here at SLU does just that.
By 8:30 a.m. Saturday morning, almost 900 students had roused themselves from sleep and congregated at West Pine Gym for APO's annual day of service, Showers of Service. Participants received a t-shirt, lunch, and breakfast before the keynote speaker, Michael Rosier, gave a reflection asking each participant why they were here today, prepared to give half of the day in service to others.
By being here on a Saturday morning, you are already challenging the culture that we live in. The culture that says that you as an individual are the only thing that you need to be concerned with, that you have better things to do on a Saturday morning than get out and go out into the community. Your presence here has already challenged that culture.
He went on to lead a reflection on the day that was to come. Groups were then dismissed to travel to their service site, where they would stay until the job was done, or until 2 o'clock. The Honors Learning Community was assigned to the Habitat for Humanity Restore, where they set to work cleaning and organizing the doors Habitat's Restore had for sale, as well as a back storeroom that had become filled with debris and dust to the point where it was no longer immediately clear what was useful and what was not. By the end of the day, all sellable items had been moved to their designated place in the store, and the lower portion of the room had been completely cleared.
Showers of Service was a lot of fun. Had really great packed lunches, and it was great to see what a group of people can do. We cleared out a bunch of cluttered space and sorted things, which was just great to see what we could all do together.
And it was really fulfilling at the end when the Habitat for Humanity workers couldn't wait for us to come back and volunteer again some other time.
It was really cool because you get to see all the people coming in that were getting all their stuff. All the stuff we helped move, cabinets and stoves, radiators. Just a bunch of fun too. I actually enjoyed cleaning up with all my friends.
Members of APO were assigned to assist with the Midwest Street Soccer Invitational that was held the same day in West Pine Gym. The tournament boasted teams from Texas to Minneapolis to the St. Louis Roadies. Its intention was to empower the players who are all currently or formerly homeless and to raise awareness for the issue of homelessness.
My name is Christopher Pelli. I'm with APO, and I'm doing my Showers of Service site in the West Pine Gym with the Midwest Street Soccer Invitational. We had a ton of fun doing it, and it was really cool to build new relationships and meet new people.
Midwest Street Soccer Invitational. I actually got it start last year in Kansas City. The Fort Worth, Texas team actually organized the tournament in Kansas City. And then this year it was our turn, so we contacted St. Louis University. They were very gracious and allowed us to have the tournament here, and gave us a handful of volunteers who, without their help, the tournament wouldn't happen. So we're very grateful to the Showers of Service day here at SLU.
So we did our Showers of Service with the Midwest Street Soccer Invitational, which is something we never even knew existed. But we basically just played soccer all day and met all these new awesome people and everything. And we're hoping that we can do this again sometime, because it's probably the best Showers of Service we possibly could have.
Fort Worth, we come out of Texas.
How'd you do today?
Like second place, you know?
Nice.
Yeah.
So what did you think of the tournament?
It's a great start for everybody. Good time, good tournament. Very motivated people here. Very motivated people. Good people, good atmosphere, you know? It's good.
Do you think you'll come back next year if it happens again?
Everything falls in place.
The tournament is basically about helping to build up the confidence of the participants. These are all men and women who are homeless or formerly homeless. And so tournaments like this one are put together to just build confidence, camaraderie, give guys a chance to feel part of something, basically. And in turn realize that they're not alone, that the issues that they face are issues that are challenging men and women all over the country.
Where's your team from? What do you think of the tournament?
I think it was real good. It was very nice. Just kind of captivating.
Where is your team from?
Minneapolis.
And how'd you play today?
We played good. We dominated.
Yeah?
We won the whole thing.
What do you think was the highlight of this year's tournament?
It's hard to say. I mean, there's some very talented teams. The Fort Worth, Texas teams were really impressive. The Minneapolis teams are always just dominant teams as far as skill and moving the ball. So I'd say some of the finals, the third place game and the first place game, were pretty exciting to watch.
Hey, I'm Jose Acuña from one of the coaches from Minneapolis, Minnesota. I just want to say thank you very much to everybody that was involved in this tournament. It was great, it was amazing, from beginning to end. We love it, and hopefully we will get invited again to come back. Thank you.
Thanks, Amanda, for that segment. Very encouraging, very inspirational stuff there. If you have an email about someone in your community lending a helping hand, please send it to us at mondaysinmidtown@gmail.com. We'll be right back.
Monday, can't trust that day.
And welcome back to Mondays in Midtown. Joining us now to discuss some national politics is our senior political analyst, Brett Kostreski. Good evening, Brett.
Good evening, Mark. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, of course. The government did not shut down this past weekend. You know, and I was watching some of the coverage over the weekend on the different cable outlets on Friday night, and I guess I was most shocked. I mean, it seemed like the people who actually wanted the government to shut down were the media outlets, the cable news network.
Yeah, we're a little bit sensationalist with it, and of course they'd enjoy some good ratings if it shut down, and they just like to see. I mean, of course the media has vested interest in having a shutdown to cover all weekend, but luckily for the American people and for the politicians involved, they did avoid a shutdown.
Right. So now, where do we stand right now with the budget process? I mean, we're still talking about this current fiscal year budget, right?
Right. This is the fiscal year 2011 budget. It was not passed for the entire year back when the Democrats controlled Congress. And so they've been passing a series of continuing resolutions to keep the budget in place for the year. And this one, even what they voted on Friday night, was also a continuing resolution just until Thursday. But in principle, they have agreed on an entire fiscal year to finish the rest of 2011. And as we saw last week, Paul Ryan unveiled his 2012 budget, so that's also going to be a big part of the debate.
And this was the largest spending cut in the federal budget in the history, right?
It was big. We have $39 billion being cut from the government.
Is that too much?
Well, some would tell you it's not enough. I think it's probably a good number as far as the compromise went. I'd rather see them cut $39 billion and keep the government open than only cut $20 billion or demand $40 billion and not get the government working.
So then let's talk about next year's budget. Pretty drastic and somewhat controversial.
It is. Paul Ryan's biggest, his selling point is that he's cutting $6 trillion from the government over the next 9 years.
That's a lot of money.
So that's a lot of money. And the goal is to become deficit neutral by 2020 or 2021, something like that. The biggest thing is he's tackling these entitlements, which is something the president avoided doing in his 2012 budget suggestion. And the Republicans have said that they were going to go ahead and tackle those controversial issues, and his new suggestions for Medicare and Medicaid are the biggest part of that.
I mean, it's going to be really interesting to see how that one turns out, too, just in terms of who's going to support whom. Real quickly, let's talk about that debt ceiling, because people have been asking me about it, and I'm like, well, I'll have to ask our senior political correspondent about it, political analyst about it. So that's right. So what happens if we do not raise the debt ceiling?
Well, the problem is that means the government can no longer spend money because it will increase the debt. But the Congress has already allocated money above that debt ceiling in previous laws. So what would happen is we would default on our debt, on the interest on our debt, and that would cause our credit rating to just implode.
Isn't there a vote coming up soon on that?
There is. They're going to have to pass the government has to pass a debt ceiling, so they're going to do that this week. And President Obama wants what he's calling a clean bill, which would simply raise the debt limit. Republicans are going to try to use it as a bargaining chip and get some kind of plan in place so that it doesn't need to keep getting raised, and that's so they can try to get that debt down, which is something that a lot of the American people want to see happen, and that's one mandate that the Democrats think or the Republicans, excuse me, think they saw in this 2010 election, is trying to get that budget debt under control.
Really interesting. Now, did Mitt Romney announce that he was running for president today? I think I saw something on Twitter, maybe it's an announcement video or something.
It's possible. I did not see that.
Well, it was just breaking.
But, okay,
it's a breaking story.
We all know he's going to run. And
my ear here. Right?
Oh, yeah. Well, we all know he's going to run. It would be no surprise there. They're starting. It's already started to people announcing, so they're going to try
People are starting to filter into Iowa,
exactly.
right?
Yeah, well, they've been doing that for the past year.
Mitt Romney is having a hamburger in Iowa tonight on Inside Edition. Okay, so Brett, I really appreciate your commentary, your insight.
Oh, sure. Well, thanks.
You watched a little bit of the Masters this past weekend.
I love it.
One of the best 4-day events in my life.
Tradition unlike any other.
It is a tradition unlike any other. The CBS Sports golf team is just fantastic.
They do a great job.
I mean, from Jim Nance to Sir Nick Faldo to one of my favorite people in the world, Vern Lundquist, and everyone in between. David Faraday, I know, is always walking on the course. So the Masters was such a great event, though, in terms of TV watching, capabilities from Augusta, Georgia, but also in terms of what happened at the Masters.
It was an exciting day, and unfortunately, I missed the most of Sunday's happenings as I was traveling a little bit, but. I remember the earlier round I was watching, and I fell asleep. Tiger was in really bad shape, and then I wake up and he's at the top. But it was pretty exciting Masters all weekend.
And it was really interesting because it came down to that last day on Sunday. Rory was really looking good on Saturday, and then he just fell apart on Sunday. But don't worry, if you don't know anything about golf or the Masters, our own Taylor McDonald has put together this segment that is truly unlike any other.
Rory
Take a look.
McIlroy went into the final round of the Masters Sunday with a 4-shot lead in what many believed would be enough to earn him the ever-respected green jacket. However, a mid-round collapse Sunday tragically destroyed his 3-day reign as leader.
He struggled on the front 9, but he was still leading the tournament as he went to the 10th tee.
Came in corner, and the bottom fell out.
Among the group fighting for the lead was Tiger Woods.
Tiger Woods at 8.
This is the par 5, trying to reach it in 2. Already off to a good start.
Didn't know if Tiger would be a factor on Sunday. He was. The roars from the patrons here in Augusta. Woods had it going, but it would not be enough. 12th hole.
Now that's a 3-putt bogey, and that pretty much derailed his chances.
It was none other than Charles Schwartzel who was able to birdie the last 4 holes of the day and seal the title as this year's champion.
A great recipe for a win.
Schwartzel, 1-stroke lead, walking up the 18th fairway. And this was the perfect capper. Charles Schwartzel, a birdie at 18. He wins the Masters. First major championship for the South African. The green jacket belongs to Schwartzel.
Taylor, love the Masters. Thanks for that report. It's now time for Communicating with SLU Professor of Communications, Dr. Z. Schaefer.
It's good to be back. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about power and authority in small groups and organizations. Now, many people don't think of power when they're working with other people in groups or in companies, whether they be for-profit or non-profit, but power is everywhere. And I'm going to give you a few tips here today to help increase your power, which is more commonly called your influence or your authority in different situations. I asked my students the other day to write out the relationship between power, authority, control, and legitimacy. And their answers were pretty interesting. First of all, most people think about authority is just a legitimate power figure, someone that you do not question, which is pretty much the exact dictionary definition. But what people didn't articulate is that authority figures have lots of control. They're able to guide behaviors and actions, and this is important to think about, especially when working in small groups or organizations. So here are a couple tips if you want to improve your power base or make yourself a more useful or influential group member or organizational member. First, you can gain power by giving it away. That means involve people in the process, seek people's feedback, encourage their ideas, build off their ideas. In doing those strategies, you will also enhance your own esteem and worth within a group or organization. 2, affirm and extend ideas. So if you hear something you don't like, don't just come out negatively and critique it right off the bat. Affirm what they said and try to extend it or improve it in a different way. Third, and probably most importantly, is pay attention to what you're saying and how you're saying it. Not only regarding milestone decisions or events that need for a very important, quick decision, but also just an informal conversational chatting in the hallway. People can increase their power base and become more influential if they're simply polite and inquire about people's lives. So again, these are some simple strategies to help you become a better, more useful, effective, and influential group member and organizational member. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Z. Schaefer. Mondays@midtown@gmail.com if you have a thought or response to his commentary. Lyle is off this week. Lyle is on vacation this week, so there will be no Lyle's Corner. But with that being said, the views expressed on Lyle's Corner still do not represent those of Mondays in Midtown, the University, or Father Biondi. Pretty cool guy, though, and we'll be right back. Welcome back from the break. Man Hungerford, who you saw earlier, well, you didn't really see her, but you heard her earlier with that lending a helping hand segment, has also prepared a spotlight on St. Louis for us. And guess what? It features the Missouri Botanical Gardens. I love the Missouri Botanical Gardens, or as I like to refer to them, Botans. That's the hip way of referring to the Botanical Gardens. I go there in the summertime. They have a free concert series, which is pretty cool. But either way, you should go there whenever, because Amanda will tell you why.
With the warm weather finally here, the St. Louis Botanical Garden is really starting to bloom. The garden, considered one of the best in the nation, is located on Shaw Boulevard, just off the Kingsbury exit of Highway 44. The 79-acre garden is a national landmark and one of the nation's oldest botanical gardens that has been in continuous operation since its founding in 1859 by Henry Shaw. The garden features a wealth of beautiful plants and scenery with a variety of gardens and, like SLU, a number of fountains and sculptures. The St. Louis Botanical Garden also features a Chinese garden, children's garden with opportunities for the young, or just young at heart, to play and learn about botany, a 14-acre Japanese garden, which features impressively large koi just waiting to be fed, and an English woodland garden, among many others. Although I could swear the topiary maze has become much easier to navigate over the years and was recently cut back, it still should be worth your while to get lost in its twists and turns. It is the perfect place for a game of catch. Step into the Climatron and you enter a whole other world. The Climatron instantly transports you to a tropical rainforest with its warm, humid air, tall leafy plants, and outrageously vibrant flowers. Fitting works from glass master Dale Chihuly are tucked into corners, hidden treats for you to find. If you find yourself hungry after visiting the Botanical Garden, it has its own restaurant, Sassafras, that serves a variety of soups, salads, and sandwiches, and of course, like any other attraction, does feature a gift shop. The Botanical Gardens are free for members, $8 for non-member, non-St. Louis resident adults, and $4 for St. Louis resident adults. Parking is free.
And that was the Spotlight on St. Louis, Missouri Botanical Gardens. It's really not that far away, just on the other side of Interstate 44 here in the central corridor of the city of St. Louis. We have some viewer mail, some tweets, and some announcements to throw along to you. So let me get first to the mail, though. We have one mail coming in from Cleveland, Ohio, Paul Merrill. He writes, "Hey Mondays," which is, I guess, is our new hip nickname. "Hey Mondays, what are we thinking for this year's Cardinal team? World Series?" Well, Paul, I don't know. It's way too early in the season to tell. There's about 160 games, and I think we're probably about 5% through the season. So it's way too early to tell, but my gut is telling me that we will probably win the World Series. So thanks for that email, Paul, mondaysinmidtown@gmail.com. We got some tweets, 2 tweets in particular that came at me in this past week that I want to share with you, rather. The first one comes from our old friend Richard Bradley. Rich Bradley, of course, is the city's chief engineer, and he tweets, "Congrats, SLU, on Hotel Ignacio. It's awesome." And then he tweets at me. And I tweeted back at him later. I'm like, "Hey, Rich, I did not build the hotel, nor do I speak for the university in terms of that hotel. All I do is pay tuition that funded that project." So, but you're welcome, Rich. Either way, you're welcome for that hotel. And our next tweet comes from our good friend Thomas Bloom. Thomas says, "Just watched MIM." Of course, he's talking about last week's. "Just watched Mondays in Midtown. And Mark J. Zinn show just a hint of frustration with the U News. Just a hint. SLU media wars." Just a little bit. Just a little upset. I no longer write for the U News, but that's a different topic. I'll talk about civic involvement here in a second in my final frames, but we don't want to get into personnel issues. You know how it is. And we do have an announcement this week to pass along with you. Some students have, and when I say students, I mean the Asian American Association, the International Student Federation, and the Diversity Leadership Cabinet is organizing a relief effort for the devastation that happened in Japan in terms of the earthquake and the tsunami. There's two different things and 2 different ways you can help out. First off, this week, Monday through Thursday, they'll be in the north lobby of the Bush Student Center right above AVP selling paper cranes for $1. So there's one way you can help out. Also, there's a benefit concert for Japan that'll be happening on Thursday as well. That'll be at 6 p.m. in the West Pine Gymnasium. It's $5 to get in, and it's going to have a lot of fun because Decadence will be there, as the Bare Naked Statues, SLU Student Acts, and much more. And again, all proceeds will benefit the Japanese Red Cross. So if you'd like more information about this, you can email Linda Holyoke. Her email address is LHOLYOK1@slu.edu if you'd like to help out. But either way, pretty good cause there. It's now time for the final frames aspect of the show, and I just wanted to share again with you how important it is to get involved. And I say that because I feel as if sometimes we all live in this SLU bubble, and we're all encouraged to not pop the bubble that is SLU. But some media outlets foster this SLU bubble, but you need to wake up and realize that there is stuff going on around the fenced-in community that is St. Louis University, whether it be crime or violence or something the police department's doing, or just getting out into the community and showing the community that SLU cares about other places besides our fenced-in community. So I guess for my final frames this week, all I want to say to you is you got to pop that SLU bubble sometimes and go ahead and get out into the community, whether it be North City, North County, West County, South County, South City. It doesn't matter where you go. Just get outside the city limits. The limits of SLU, because it can only help, and it's your city, your community, and you can be involved with it. Believe it or not, you can be involved with it. Mondays at midtowngmail.com. You can tweet at me, Mark J. Zinn. I guess I have nothing else, so we'll just get right to that Alonzo Garbanzo clip of the week. Good night.
I'm so tired. I haven't slept a wink. I'm so tired. My mind is on the blink. I wonder, should I get up and fix myself a drink? No, no, no. I'm so tired. I'm feeling so upset. Oh, I'm so tired. I'll have another cigarette and curse Sir Walter Raleigh. He was such a stupid cat. He said, "You're putting me on, but it's no joke. It's doing me harm, you know I can't sleep. I can't stop my brain, you know it's 3 weeks. Going insane, you know I do everything I've got for a little peace of mind." I'm so tired, I don't know what to do. I'm so tired, my mind is set on you. I wonder, should I call you or not? What should I do? You say you're putting me on, but it's no joke. It's doing me harm, you know I can't sleep. I can't stop my brain, you know it's 3 weeks. I'm going insane, you know I give you everything I got for a little peace of mind. I give you everything I've got for a little peace of mind. Everything I've got for a little peace of mind.
Student Center North Lobby, right above ABP Restaurant. There'll be, oh, just dropped my microphone. Are you kidding me? That freaked me out for a second. I think this is fantastic. Tonight on Newswire. Look at this, Brett. Oh, brought to you by Hannah. Hannah, in theaters this Friday, April 15th. Now, we just caught up with filmmakers on their newest press junk. What are they called? Press junket? Press junket here on Entertainment Tonight. Brad and J-Lo, tonight on Entertainment Tonight. Lil Wayne's in rehab, tonight on Entertainment Tonight. Here we go. Lindsay Lohan's in more trouble, tonight on Entertainment Tonight. Brad and Angelina, honeymooning in Paris. The Royal Wedding, tonight on Entertainment Tonight. A special look at Kate Middleton's dress, tonight on Inside Edition. No, it's Entertainment Tonight. More Charlie Sheen news tonight. Oh, I just feel like, all right, just stop. Good night.